Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of Design and Quilt Monthly. My name is Mark Garretts and I'm a National R&K educator. And this month we're going to be talking about how to use and create a pieced border for your quilt design. So as I mentioned in this video, we're going to be talking about how to use a pieced border in your quilt design. So I'm going to go ahead and open up a pre-existing quilt, and we're going to change the border on it from a normal border into a pieced border. So here's a quilt that I created in a previous lesson some time ago called Blue Diamonds, and you can see it already has a border on it, and this is a pretty standard mitered border. And what we want to do is we want to get rid of this border and add a pieced border instead. So right now I see here a grid setting, which is to set up my quilt grid, but over here I've got pieced border, and we'll come back to that in a second. And you can see it's not enabled, so I don't have a pieced border, but I don't have any properties over here for a strip border or a mitered border like we have here. And why is that? It's because I don't have a border piece selected. So if I simply click on one of the border pieces, now you can see I've got my border style over here, and I can change it. Now I want to get rid of it, so there's a couple ways I can do that. I can set my border widths to 0. So for example, if I just click here, get rid of that 2 and put in a 0 and click apply, that'll just get rid of the left border over here. And I could repeat that for all of them. I'm going to undo that by clicking my undo button, and I'm just going to show you that there's a faster way to do it. And if I select any border piece and then I simply delete it, and I can do that a couple different ways. I can right click on it, so I'm right clicking with the mouse and I could select delete, or I could simply press the delete key on the keyboard. So I'm going to do it this way since I have it open. So I'm going to press delete, and once it deletes the one border, it deletes all of them. So if I wanted to have three-sided border like that, I could do it with changing the border widths, but I don't know what the practical application of that would be. So we're just going to go ahead and do it this way. Now I can add my pieced border to it. Before I do that though, let me undo and show you what would happen if I didn't delete this border. If I came over here and went pieced border and clicked enabled and I put in corner blocks here, so that's clicked, and 4 repeats. Let's go ahead and click apply and see what happens. It's going to put it around my existing border, which is not what I want. So I'm going to undo that, and I'm going to once again delete my borders. This time I'm going to press the delete key on my keyboard. I apologize you can't see me doing that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back over here to pieced border, and I'm going to click enabled. Now I don't really want a 4x4 border going all the way around. That's pretty big. And the way this works is if I increase the number of repeats, it's going to make a square block. It always makes square blocks that go around this border. And the fewer repeats I have, the bigger the block is going to be. So for example, if I did 1 by 1, let's go ahead and do that. If I do 1 by 1, you would think this would be like 1 inch by 1 inch, but it's not. It's taking the whole width of this quilt, which in this case is 32 inches, and I click apply. It's going to make, if I zoom out, you can see it made these 4 or a block for each side of the quilt, the size of the side of the quilt. So these would be 32 by 32 inch blocks. Not very practical. So let me undo that, and let me double click my magnifying glass to zoom back into the center. And I'll go back to my block select tool here. And now I'm going to add my correct pieced border. So now what I want is I want something smaller than the 4x4. Let's do 8x8. So that'll give us 2 pieces per of these little blocks, or 8 going this way, and it'll add a 9th one for the corner. So let's do 8 by 8 and click apply, and let me double click to zoom out again. So what I want to do now is start working with this border. I want to apply some colored fabric in here, and if I click on this piece here, you can see that I've got that one selected. And what I want to do is I want to go along and click every other block. So I'm going to go around the quilt here, holding down my control key on my keyboard while I click. I apologize you can't see me doing that, but I'm holding down the control key and I'm clicking every other block around the quilt. Okay, so every other block. Whoops, I messed up. Let me click that again. There, that's the one I want. And that one, that one, that one, and that one, and that one, and that one, that one, that one, and that one. Okay, now I've got every other block selected. And what happened down here when I misselected a block, if I continue to hold down control and click that block again, it unselects it. So that's the way that works. Now what I want to do is apply a color to these blocks. Now I could select new colors from my color palette down here, but I'm going to use a color that's already in the quilt. And those are here in my design palette. And I'm going to click this light blue. So I'm going to select that, and it's going to fill in all the blocks that I selected. Now what I want to do is I want to select, I'm going to click off it so I have nothing selected. What I want to do is select all the other blocks around here. And I could do that control click again going all the way around, but there's a faster way to do it now that I have the empty blocks are the only ones left for me to fill. So if I right click here and click select and come down here to empty, it will select all the empty blocks, which are all the other blocks. Now I can select a different color. So if I click that one, now I've got that color selected in there, and now I can save my quilt. If I wanted to do something different, if I wanted to bring a block into here, I could click it. I could come over here to my block library, and I could select a block. Let's find something simple. Let's try traditional. Yeah, so here's like a simple block, and I can go ahead and do that, and that would put a block design in there. I could do something complicated if I wanted to make a really tiny little block, but these are, and this is not that small really for this quilt. This is 4 by 4, so I could put in instead something more complicated, like I could put in this block here, and I could go around and do that all the way around. So I could right click on this and copy it, and now I could right click and select by color. Okay, and since I had that block selected, it selects all those blocks that were that color. Now I can right click and click paste, and it'll paste it into all of those blocks. So that's just like working with a normal quilt layout, but in this case I'm applying it to my border. All right, and so that's how you would work with pieced borders in Design and Quilt. So I want to thank you for watching and invite you to come back next month for another edition of Design and Quilt Monthly.